Chapter 10. Later Years, Health Struggles, Lawsuits, and Lasting Love. Hook 1. The Lasting Echo of a Shot. The sound of a rifle crack once followed Annie Oakley wherever she went, a symbol of mastery and confidence. But in her later years, as the echo faded, Oakley faced new battles that required a different kind of courage. Fighting for her reputation in the courtroom, enduring the pain of failing health, and cherishing the love that had been her anchor through triumph and tragedy. Hook 2. From center stage to courtroom drama, after dazzling the world with feats of marksmanship, Annie Oakley found her name splashed across headlines not for her skill, but for scandal. A single false story set off a storm of libel that forced the legendary sharpshooter into a new arena, one with judges and juries instead of an adoring public. Yet, with characteristic resolve, Oakley fought for her name and honor, proving that her aim was as true in the courtroom as it was on the range. Hook 3. Through trials and twilight, a love that endured even as age and adversity slowed her steps, Annie Oakley's heart remained steadfast. Through every lawsuit, every injury, and every sorrow, Frank Butler was by her side, her partner on stage and in life. Their bond, forged through decades of shared adventure, would become her greatest source of comfort as the curtain began to fall. A new chapter. Life after the Wild West show. When Annie Oakley's tenure with Buffalo Bill's Wild West show ended abruptly in 1901, many assumed it marked the end of her public life. Instead, it began a new phase. Oakley and Frank Butler, ever the inseparable pair, continued to travel and perform, delighting audiences with shooting exhibitions across the country. Though no longer part of the traveling spectacle of the Wild West show, Oakley's reputation as Little Sure Shot remained undiminished. She adapted her act to smaller venues and charity events, sharing her skill with new generations. Her performances were now as much about inspiration as entertainment, each shot a testament to resilience and artistry honed over a lifetime. Fighting for her name. The Libel Wars. In August 1903, Annie Oakley's world was rocked by a scandal not of her making. William Randolph Hearst's newspapers published a sensational and utterly false story alleging that Oakley had been arrested for stealing to support a cocaine habit. The real culprit was a young woman who had merely claimed to be Oakley, but the damage was done. The story spread rapidly, picked up by newspapers nationwide. For Oakley, whose public image was built on integrity and respectability, this was a devastating blow. She responded not with silence but with action. Oakley filed lawsuits against the newspapers that had printed the libelous claims, eventually 55 in total. A tireless pursuit of justice. For 6 years, Oakley traveled from courthouse to courthouse, determined to clear her name. She won 54 of the 55 lawsuits, achieving legal vindication and public apologies from many publishers. However, the cost was steep financially and emotionally. The settlements were often small, and the protracted legal battles sapped her savings and energy. Yet Oakley's crusade was about more than money. It was about reclaiming her identity and teaching the newspapers a lesson in responsibility and truth. Her relentless fight became another facet of her legend, a demonstration that her courage extended far beyond the shooting range. A life of grace and generosity. Despite these trials, Oakley never lost her sense of generosity. During World War I, she raised thousands of dollars for the Red Cross and other charities, often using her shooting exhibitions as fundraisers. Her beloved dog, Dave the Wonder Dog, became part of these events, delighting crowds with his tricks and raising even more money for good causes. Oakley and Butler eventually made their winter home in Leesburg, Florida, where they enjoyed hunting and the company of fellow sportsmen. Their home was a gathering place for friends, admirers, and curious tourists who made the pilgrimage to meet the legendary sharpshooter. Oakley remained gracious, giving impromptu demonstrations and sharing stories of her adventures. A new kind of battle, the automobile accident. In November 1922, Oakley's life took another dramatic turn. While riding with friends on the Dixie Highway in Florida, their car overturned, pinning her beneath the wreckage. The accident left her with a broken hip and ankle, devastating injuries for anyone, but especially for a woman whose career had been built on physical mastery. Oakley underwent surgery and endured a long, painful recovery. She wore a leg brace for the rest of her life, her mobility forever limited. Doctors doubted she would ever shoot again, and her days of public exhibitions came to a close. Spirit unbroken, true to form, Oakley refused to surrender to despair. She expressed optimism about her recovery and never ceased to engage with her public, maintaining correspondence with admirers and supporting charitable causes from her home. Her resilience in the face of adversity became the defining characteristic of her final years. Lasting love. Annie and Frank's enduring partnership. Through every hardship, Frank Butler remained by Annie's side. Their marriage, which had begun in the spirit of friendly competition and mutual respect, matured into a partnership marked by deep affection and unwavering support. Butler cared for Oakley during her illnesses and injuries, managed their household, and ensured she was never alone in her struggles. Their love story, rare for any era, was one of equals, each the other's champion, confidant, and companion. As Oakley's health declined, Butler's devotion only grew, a testament to a bond that had weathered every storm. A graceful farewell. Annie Oakley passed away peacefully on November 3, 1926. At the age of 66, the world mourned the loss of a pioneer whose life had been defined by courage, generosity, and an unyielding sense of purpose. 18 days later, Frank Butler followed her in death, unable, it seemed, to live without the woman who had been his partner in every sense. The story of Annie Oakley and Frank Butler is as much about love as it is about legend. Their journey together, through fame and obscurity, triumph and tragedy, stands as a model of what is possible when talent, integrity, and devotion are woven together. Legacy. The enduring spirit of Annie Oakley. Annie Oakley's later years were marked by struggle, but also by grace. She faced false accusations, injury, and the slow decline of age not with bitterness, but with dignity. She continued to advocate for women, to support charitable causes, and to inspire those who sought her wisdom. Through it all, her love for Frank Butler never wavered, and the two remain one of history's great romantic partnerships. Oakley's life reminds us that true greatness is not measured solely by public triumphs, but by the private strength to endure, forgive, and love. Conclusion. The final shot. Annie Oakley's story did not fade with her final days. Instead, it grew, becoming a legend that would inspire generations. Her unwavering character, relentless pursuit of justice, and enduring love left a mark on American culture that is still felt today. Even as the rifle fell silent, the spirit of Little Sure Shot lived on in every woman who dared to defy convention, every athlete who broke a barrier, and every person who found the courage to stand up for what is right.